The frozen air bit at Isaac Bennett's face as he walked behind the grocery store, taking his usual shortcut to his car. Christmas Eve had turned the city into a snow globe, beautiful and deceptive, hiding the cold reality beneath the glitter. His breath came out in clouds as his expensive leather shoes crunched against the icy pavement. He just finished buying ingredients for tomorrow's lonely Christmas dinner, the same ritual he'd performed for the past 6 years since the accident. That's when he heard it. A small cough followed by a whimper. Isaac stopped, his shopping bag swaying in his hands. The sound came from behind the dumpster, where cardboard boxes were stacked haphazardly against the brick wall. He approached slowly, his heart beginning to pound. What he saw made his breath catch in his throat. 2 little girls, identical twins, were huddled together inside a makeshift shelter of cardboard and trash bags. They couldn't have been more than 5 years old. Their small bodies pressed against each other for warmth, tiny hands clutching threadbare blankets. One wore a pink jacket 2 sizes too small with a broken zipper. The other had on a thin blue sweater with holes in the elbows. Neither had proper shoes, just dirty sneakers with no socks. Their faces were smudged with dirt, their dark curls tangled and matted. "Oh my God," Isaac whispered, setting down his bags. The girls' eyes flew open. Instead of running, they stared at him with an emptiness that broke something deep inside his chest. These children had learned not to expect help, not to trust, not to hope. They simply existed, waiting for whatever came next. "Hey there," Isaac said softly, crouching down to their level. "Are you okay? Where are your parents?" The girl in the pink jacket spoke first, her voice barely above a whisper. "Mama said to wait here. She said she'd come back." "When did she say that?" Isaac asked, his stomach twisting. "A long time ago," the other twin answered. "Before the snow came. It had been snowing for 3 days." Isaac looked around, hoping to see an adult nearby, someone who could explain this nightmare. But the alley was empty except for scattered trash and the distant sound of traffic. He turned back to the girls, his mind racing through options. He couldn't leave them here. Not on Christmas Eve. Not ever. "My name is Isaac," he said gently. "What are your names?" "I'm Bella," said the girl in pink. "That's Sophie." She pointed to her sister. "Bella and Sophie," Isaac repeated, trying to keep his voice steady. "Listen to me very carefully. It's very cold out here and I don't think your mama is coming back tonight. I have a warm house with food and beds. Will you come with me? Just for tonight until we can find someone to help." The twins looked at each other, having some silent conversation only they could understand. Then Bella nodded. "Okay. But we stay together." "Always together," Isaac promised. "I won't separate you." He took off his wool coat and wrapped it around both girls, then lifted them gently, one in each arm. They weighed almost nothing. Sophie's head dropped onto his shoulder immediately, as if her body had been waiting for permission to stop being strong. Bella kept her eyes open, watching everything, still alert, still protecting her sister even now. Isaac carried them to his car, a sleek black sedan that suddenly seemed absurdly luxurious. He settled them in the back seat, cranking up the heat as high as it would go. The girls pressed against each other, their small fingers intertwined. As he drove through the decorated streets toward his home in the suburbs, Isaac caught glimpses of them in the rearview mirror. They watched the Christmas lights blur past the windows with wide eyes, as if seeing magic for the first time. When he pulled into his driveway, the large 2-story house with its tasteful white lights seemed to glow against the dark sky. "Is this your house?" Sophie asked, speaking for the first time since getting in the car. "Yes," Isaac said, turning off the engine. "And tonight it's your house too." He carried them inside, setting them down in the marble entryway. They stood close together, not touching anything, not moving, just taking in the space. Isaac's home was beautiful but empty. He'd bought it planning to fill it with family, with children's laughter, with life. Instead, it had become a museum of might-have-beens. "Come on," he said, leading them to the kitchen. "Let's get you something to eat." The girls followed him like shadows, sitting carefully on the tall kitchen chairs. Isaac rummaged through his refrigerator and pantry, pulling out bread, cheese, and milk. He made grilled cheese sandwiches, cutting them into triangles the way his own mother used to do. He warmed milk in a pot, adding a touch of honey and cinnamon. Bella and Sophie stared at the food when he placed it in front of them, not touching it right away. "It's okay," Isaac said gently. "Eat as much as you want. There's plenty more." Bella picked up a triangle of sandwich with both hands and took a small bite. Her eyes widened. She took another bite, bigger this time. Sophie followed her sister's lead, and soon both girls were eating like they hadn't seen food in days. Which Isaac realized with a sick feeling might actually be true. He sat across from them watching, his own dinner forgotten. Questions filled his mind. How long had they been on the streets? Where was their mother really? Did they have any other family? What had their lives been like before this? When they finished eating, Sophie looked up at him with chocolate milk on her upper lip. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You're very welcome," Isaac replied, his throat tight. "Now, how about a bath and some clean clothes? Then you can sleep in a real bed." The twins exchanged another of their silent looks. Then Bella asked, "Will you stay close? We don't like being alone." "I promise I'll be right outside the door," Isaac said. "I'm not going anywhere." He ran a warm bath in the guest bathroom, adding bubble bath that had been sitting and used for years. He found some of his old t-shirts that would work as makeshift nightgowns for tonight. Tomorrow he'd figure out proper clothes. Tomorrow he'd make calls. Tomorrow he'd start the process of making sure these little girls never spent another night on the streets. But tonight he just wanted them to feel safe. As the twins bathed, giggling softly at the bubbles, Isaac stood in the hallway, his phone in his hand. He should call the police. He should call child services. But it was Christmas Eve, nearly 10 o'clock at night. Would anyone even answer? Would they take the girls away to some emergency facility? The thought of them being scared again, being moved to another strange place, made his decision for him. Tomorrow. He'd make the calls tomorrow. He prepared the guest bedroom, putting fresh sheets on the bed and setting out extra blankets. When the girls emerged from the bathroom, clean and wrapped in towels, they looked even smaller. He helped them into the oversized t-shirts, which hung to their ankles like dresses. "This bed is so big," Bella said, climbing onto the queen-sized mattress. "You can both sleep here," Isaac said. "I'll be just across the hall if you need anything." Sophie tugged on his sleeve. "Can you leave the light on? We don't like the dark." "Of course," Isaac said, switching on the bedside lamp. "Anything you need." He tucked them in, pulling the covers up to their chins. They lay facing each other, hands clasped between them, the same way they'd been positioned in that cardboard shelter. The similarity made Isaac's chest ache. "Isaac." Bella's voice was so small. "Yes." "Is it really okay that we're here? We won't get in trouble?" Isaac knelt beside the bed, looking at both girls. "You are not in trouble. You did nothing wrong. And yes, it's really okay that you're here. More than okay." "What if Mama comes back?" Sophie asked. Isaac chose his words carefully. "If your mama comes looking for you, we'll deal with that when it happens. But right now the most important thing is that you're safe and warm. Can you try to sleep now?" Both girls nodded, their eyes already drooping with exhaustion. Isaac stood, watching them for a moment. 6 years ago he'd lost everything. His wife, pregnant with their first child, killed by a drunk driver. He'd survived, but barely. He'd thrown himself into his work, building his tech company into something successful and cold, just like his life had become. Now, looking at these two precious girls who'd been thrown away like garbage, something shifted inside him. Something that had been frozen for 6 years began to thaw. He walked to his own bedroom but didn't undress. Instead, he sat in the chair by the window, looking out at the snow falling softly in the streetlights. Every few minutes he got up and checked on the twins. They slept deeply, their breathing synchronized, their hands still joined. Around midnight, Isaac finally allowed himself to think about what came next. He'd call child services first thing in the morning. They'd investigate, find the mother, search for relatives. The girls would probably be placed in foster care while the system worked through their case. He could offer to help financially, maybe check in on them occasionally. But even as he thought it, he knew the truth. He was already attached. Already planning. Already hoping. Because here's what Isaac understood in that moment. Sometimes broken people find each other not by accident, but by design. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness open the door to the greatest miracles. Sometimes what looks like the end of your story is actually just the beginning of a new chapter. He walked back to the guest room one more time before attempting sleep. Bella and Sophie lay peaceful and still, their faces relaxed in a way they probably hadn't been in weeks. A strand of Sophie's dark hair fell across her cheek. Bella's thumb had found its way to her mouth as she slept. "Sweet dreams, little ones," Isaac whispered. "You're safe now. I promise you're safe." He didn't know it yet, but that promise would change all three of their lives forever. That promise would lead him through bureaucracy and heartbreak, through fear and hope, through the painful process of learning to love again. That promise, made in the quiet hours of Christmas Eve, would become the foundation of a family. Have you ever wondered what you would do if you found children abandoned and alone? Would you walk away or would you risk everything to save them? Drop a comment below with your thoughts. and please subscribe to follow this incredible journey of hope and second chances. Isaac woke before dawn, his body still in the chair by the window where he'd finally dozed off around 3 in the morning. His neck ached and his legs had gone numb, but none of that mattered. He stood quickly and moved to the guest bedroom, his heart pounding with an irrational fear that the girls might have disappeared, that last night might have been a dream. But they were there, still curled together in the center of the large bed, the lamplight casting soft shadows across their sleeping faces. Relief flooded through him so powerfully that he had to grip the doorframe for support. It was Christmas morning. Isaac moved quietly through the house, starting coffee and staring at his phone. Child Protective Services wouldn't be open today. The police non-emergency line would take a report, but what would they do? On Christmas Day, with skeleton staff and emergency calls taking priority, 2 children who were currently safe and fed wouldn't be their top concern. He decided to wait until tomorrow. One more day wouldn't hurt, and the girls deserved at least one peaceful Christmas morning. Around 7 he heard small footsteps in the hallway. He looked up to see both twins standing in the kitchen entrance, still wearing his oversized t-shirts, their hair sticking up in all directions. They looked uncertain, like they weren't sure if they were allowed to be there. "Good morning," Isaac said with a smile. "Did you sleep okay?" Bella nodded slowly. Sophie rubbed her eyes. Neither moved from the doorway. "Are you hungry? I can make pancakes. Do you like pancakes?" "We've never had them," Sophie said quietly. Isaac's heart squeezed. "Never?" Both girls shook their heads. "Well then," Isaac said, trying to keep his voice light despite the sadness washing over him, "we need to fix that right away. Come sit down." The twins climbed onto the kitchen chairs they'd sat in last night, watching as Isaac pulled out flour, eggs, and milk. He wasn't much of a cook, but pancakes he could handle. As he mixed the batter, he talked to them gently, asking simple questions. "How old are you?" 5, Bella answered. "We had a birthday, but we don't remember when." "Do you know your last name?" The girls looked at each other. "Mama called us her babies. Sometimes she called us the twins." Isaac flipped the first pancake, his mind working. They didn't know their birthday. They didn't know their last name. How long had they been living like this? How much of a normal life had they ever known? He served the pancakes with butter and syrup, showing them how much to pour. Their eyes went wide at the sweetness, and for the first time, he saw something close to joy cross their faces. "This is the best thing ever," Sophie said, syrup on her chin. As they ate, Isaac noticed them looking toward the living room, where his Christmas tree stood by the window. It was a real tree, professionally decorated because Isaac paid people to do these things. He hadn't bought any presents this year. He never did. Christmas had become just another day to get through. "Would you like to see the tree up close?" he asked. Both girls nodded eagerly. They walked into the living room, and Isaac watched as Bella and Sophie approached the tree with reverent wonder. They didn't touch anything, just stood there staring at the lights and ornaments. "It's so pretty," Bella whispered. "Have you seen a Christmas tree before?" Isaac asked. "At stores," Sophie said. "But never in a house." Isaac felt something crack further inside his chest. These children had lived 5 years on this planet and had never experienced Christmas. Never woken up to presents. Never felt the magic of the holiday. "Wait here," he said suddenly, an idea forming. He went to his home office and rummaged through drawers, pulling out things he'd bought over the years and never used. A nice set of colored pencils and a sketchbook. 2 stuffed animals he'd bought on impulse and never donated. A puzzle still in its wrapper. He grabbed a few other items, anything that might bring a smile to their faces. In the kitchen he found gift bags left over from a corporate event. He quickly arranged his makeshift presents and brought them back to the living room, setting them under the tree. "Look at that," he said, trying to sound surprised. "Santa must have come last night." The twins turned to him with skeptical expressions. These were children who'd been let down too many times to believe in magic easily. "It's okay," Isaac said softly. "Those are for you. You can open them." Bella reached for a bag hesitantly, pulling out the stuffed bear. Her eyes filled with tears. She clutched it to her chest, her small body beginning to shake with silent sobs. Sophie opened her bag and found an identical stuffed rabbit, and she too began to cry, quiet tears streaming down her face. Isaac knelt beside them, his own eyes burning. "Hey, it's okay. What's wrong?" "Nobody ever gave us presents before," Bella managed to say between sobs. "Nobody ever gave us anything." Isaac pulled both girls into his arms, and they came willingly, crying against his shoulders. He held them as they released something that had been building for who knows how long. All the fear, all the loneliness, all the nights of wondering if anyone in the world cared whether they lived or died. I care, Isaac said, his voice rough with emotion. I care about you both very much. They stayed like that for a long time, tangled together on the floor in front of the Christmas tree. Eventually the tears slowed. The girls pulled back, wiping their faces, embarrassed now. It's okay to cry, Isaac told them. You've been very brave for a very long time. It's okay to let it out. Sophie held up her stuffed rabbit. Can we really keep these? They're yours, Isaac confirmed. Everything under that tree is yours. The girls opened the rest of the presents with careful hands, exclaiming over the colored pencils and the puzzle. They immediately sat down on the carpet and began working on the puzzle together, their heads bent close, whispering to each other. Isaac made hot chocolate, adding marshmallows, and brought it to them. They sipped it slowly, their stuffed animals sitting beside them. For an hour, Isaac simply sat on the couch and watched them play, something he'd never thought he'd see in this house. Around noon he made grilled cheese again, having discovered it was something he could cook successfully. The girls ate quietly and he noticed they each saved half their sandwich, wrapping it in a napkin. You don't have to save food, Isaac said gently. There's always more. You can eat whenever you're hungry. Are you sure? Bella asked. I promise. This kitchen is always full of food and you can have anything you want. They slowly unwrapped their napkins and finished their sandwiches. That afternoon it started snowing again. Isaac found a movie on television, something animated and cheerful. The girls sat on the couch on either side of him, their stuffed animals in their laps. Halfway through the movie, Sophie's head drooped onto his arm. Bella followed soon after. Isaac sat very still, afraid to move and wake them. Their small bodies were warm against his sides, their breathing deep and even. The weight of them, the trust they were beginning to show, felt both precious and terrifying. What was he going to do? Tomorrow he'd have to make calls. Tomorrow the system would take over. These girls would become case files, moved through the bureaucracy of child welfare. He'd be thanked for his help and sent on his way. The thought made him feel sick. As the day faded into evening, Isaac gently woke the girls for dinner. He'd ordered pizza, not knowing what else to do. They'd never had pizza before either, and they ate it with enthusiasm, getting sauce on their faces and laughing when he pretended to steal a piece from Bella's plate. Bath time came again, and this time the girls were less hesitant. They played in the bubbles, splashing a little, their laughter echoing in the bathroom. Isaac sat in the hallway again, listening to the sounds of children in his home, sounds he'd thought he'd never hear. When they were clean and dressed in the same oversized t-shirts, he led them back to the guest room. They climbed into bed without being asked, clutching their new stuffed animals. Isaac, Sophie said as he pulled up the covers. Yes. Can we stay here tomorrow too? Isaac's throat closed. We'll see, he managed. Let's just take it one day at a time. But we're safe here, Bella said. Please don't make us leave yet. I'm going to do everything I can to help you, Isaac said, and he meant it with every fiber of his being. I promise I'm going to do everything I can. He left the light on again and returned to his own room. This time he sat at his desk, opening his laptop. He searched for information about foster care, about adoption, about children's services. He read late into the night, taking notes, trying to understand the system these girls were about to enter. Around midnight he heard a sound from the guest room. He hurried across the hall to find Bella sitting up in bed, crying softly. Sophie was still asleep beside her. Hey, what's wrong? Isaac asked, sitting on the edge of the bed. I had a bad dream, Bella whispered. I dreamed we were back in the cold place and you couldn't find us. That won't happen, Isaac said firmly. I found you and I'm not going to lose you. You promise? I promise. Bella lay back down and Isaac stayed there, his hand on her shoulder, until her breathing evened out. Then he stayed a while longer just to be sure. As he finally stood to leave, he looked down at the two little girls sleeping peacefully in his guest bed. In less than 24 hours they'd changed everything. His quiet, orderly life had been disrupted completely, and somehow he didn't mind at all. For the first time in 6 years, Isaac's house felt like a home. For the first time in 6 years, he felt like he had a purpose beyond just existing. These girls needed him and maybe, just maybe, he needed them too. Tomorrow would bring its challenges. Tomorrow he'd have to navigate a system designed to help but often overwhelmed. Tomorrow he'd have to fight for the right to keep helping these children. But tonight they were safe. Tonight they were warm. Tonight they knew what it felt like to be cared for. And for tonight that was enough. Isaac woke on December 26th with a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. He showered and dressed quickly, then checked on the girls. They were awake, sitting up in bed, whispering to each other. "Good morning," he said from the doorway. They looked up and he saw relief cross their faces. They'd been worried he might be gone. "Are we going to stay today too?" Sophie asked. "Yes," Isaac said. "And I need to make some phone calls to help figure out what happens next. But first, breakfast. Over scrambled eggs and toast." Isaac explained as gently as he could that he needed to call people whose job it was to help children. He saw fear flash in their eyes. "Will they take us away?" Bella asked, her voice small. "I don't know exactly what will happen," Isaac said honestly. "But I'm going to ask if you can stay here while they figure things out. Would you like that?" Both girls nodded vigorously. "Then that's what I'm going to try to make happen." At 9 o'clock, Isaac called the Child Protective Services hotline. After explaining the situation, he was connected to an emergency worker who took down all the information. She said someone would come to the house that afternoon. "Did you find these children yesterday?" the worker asked. "Yes, on Christmas Eve." "And you didn't call immediately?" Isaac felt defensive. "It was late on Christmas Eve. They were safe, fed, and warm. I made the call as soon as your office opened." There was a pause. "We'll send someone over. Please don't leave the residence with the children." The social worker arrived at 2 in the afternoon. Her name was Patricia Rodriguez, a woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a professional manner. She wore a green blazer and carried a tablet and briefcase. Isaac had prepared the girls, explaining that a nice lady was coming to talk to them and make sure they were okay. They sat on the couch together, clutching their stuffed animals when Patricia arrived. "Hello," Patricia said warmly. "I'm Ms. Rodriguez, but you can call me Patricia. Are you Bella and Sophie?" The girls nodded but didn't speak. Patricia spent an hour asking questions, taking notes, examining the girls gently. She photographed the clothes they'd been wearing when Isaac found them. She asked Isaac detailed questions about where exactly he'd found them and what condition they'd been in. "Mr. Bennett," she said finally, "I need to be honest with you. These children were in serious danger. Another night in those conditions might have killed them. You saved their lives." Isaac swallowed hard. "What happens now?" "I need to find their mother and determine their legal status. I'll search missing children databases, hospitals, everything. In the meantime, they need somewhere safe to stay." "They can stay here," Isaac said immediately. Patricia looked at him carefully. "You understand that would require you to become an emergency foster parent? There's paperwork, a background check, a home inspection. I'll do whatever is needed. Mr. Bennett, this isn't something to take lightly. These children have been through trauma. They'll need stability, possibly therapy, definitely medical care. Are you prepared for that?" Isaac looked at Bella and Sophie on the couch. They were watching him with those two old eyes, waiting to see if another adult would let them down. "Yes," he said firmly. "I'm prepared." Patricia nodded slowly. "All right. Let me make some calls." She stepped into the kitchen, and Isaac heard her speaking in low tones. When she returned, she had a stack of papers. "We can do an emergency placement," she said. "The background check will take a few days, but given the circumstances and the fact that the children are clearly comfortable here, I can authorize them to stay with you temporarily. We'll need to do a home visit, and you'll need to complete foster parent training online starting immediately." "Whatever it takes," Isaac said. Patricia pulled out forms and Isaac signed paper after paper. She explained that she'd be checking in regularly, that the girls would need to see a doctor, that he'd need to keep detailed records. "One more thing," Patricia said. "I need to interview the girls separately. Standard procedure." Isaac nodded, though he hated the idea of the girls being scared. Patricia spoke with each twin individually in the guest room while Isaac waited downstairs. When they were done, Patricia came down looking thoughtful. "They're very attached to you already," she observed. "Is that a problem?" "Not necessarily. But you need to understand, Mr. Bennett, that attachment can make it harder if we find family members who want them. Do you think that's likely?" "I don't know yet. But you need to be prepared for any outcome." After Patricia left, Isaac sat down with the girls. "How was that? She seemed nice, right?" "She asked if you were nice to us," Bella said. "We said yes." "She asked if we wanted to stay here," Sophie added. "We said yes to that too." "Good," Isaac said. "Because you're going to stay here while Miss Patricia does her job. Is that okay?" The girls nodded, relief evident on their faces. That evening Isaac took them shopping. They needed clothes desperately. At the children's store he felt completely out of his depth. He didn't know sizes or what little girls wore. A saleswoman noticed his confusion and helped, and soon they had armfuls of clothes in bright colors. Red dresses, blue jeans, green sweaters, purple pajamas. In the dressing room, the girls tried things on and came out to show him each outfit. They twirled and giggled, and Isaac felt his throat get tight watching them experience this simple joy. "Can we really have all of these?" Bella asked, her arms full of clothes. "Yes, all of them." They also picked out proper shoes, warm coats, and accessories. At the checkout, the total made the cashier's eyebrows rise, but Isaac didn't care. These girls deserved everything. Back home, they had a fashion show with the twins modeling their new outfits while Isaac applauded. They fell asleep that night in new pajamas in the same bed, the same position. Isaac lay in his own bed, staring at the ceiling. His life had completely changed in just 3 days. He'd gone from lonely and directionless to responsible for 2 small lives. It should have terrified him. Instead, he felt more alive than he had in years. He thought about his wife, about the baby they'd never had. Would she approve of what he was doing? He thought she would. She'd always had the biggest heart of anyone he knew. "I think you'd like them," he whispered into the darkness. "I think you'd love them." The next few days fell into a routine. Isaac worked from home, setting up his laptop in the living room so he could keep an eye on the girls. They colored and played with their puzzle and watched movies. He taught them how to make sandwiches and let them help cook simple meals. Patricia came by twice, checking on everything, bringing more paperwork. The background check came back clean. The home visit went well. The girls saw a doctor who confirmed they were malnourished but otherwise healthy. They had no vaccination records, so they started getting caught up on those. Isaac hired Ruth Thompson, a warm woman in her 60s who'd raised 4 children of her own and now worked as a nanny. She came 3 days a week to help while Isaac had meetings or needed to go into the office. The girls took to her immediately, especially when she taught them to bake cookies. "You're a natural," Ruth told Isaac one afternoon, watching him help the twins frost cookies. "Most first-time parents are way more stressed." "I'm plenty stressed," Isaac admitted. "I just hide it well. Those girls are lucky to have you." "I'm the lucky one," Isaac said, and he meant it. 2 weeks after finding the girls, Patricia called with news. They'd located Angela Martinez, the girl's mother, in a shelter in Nevada. "I'm flying out tomorrow to interview her," Patricia said. "I need to understand the situation and determine her parental rights status." Isaac's heart sank. "Will she want them back?" "I don't know yet. But Mr. Bennett, you need to prepare yourself for that possibility." That night, Isaac held the girls a little tighter during their bedtime story. They'd started calling him Isaac, naturally, and he'd never tried to make them call him anything else. But sometimes, late at night when they had nightmares, one of them would cry out, "Daddy," and his heart would break and soar at the same time. Patricia returned 3 days later. She met with Isaac while the girls played upstairs with Ruth. "Angela signed away her parental rights," Patricia said quietly. "She was very clear that she can't care for them. She has significant mental health issues and substance abuse problems. She said she left them where she hoped someone would find them and help them." Isaac didn't know whether to feel relieved or heartbroken. "So what happens now?" "Now we search for other relatives. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, anyone who might be able to take them. And if there's no one? Then they'll need a permanent placement, either adoption or long-term foster care." Isaac took a deep breath. "If it comes to adoption, I want to be considered." Patricia studied him. "Mr. Bennett, adoption is permanent. It's not something to decide lightly." "I'm not deciding lightly. I've never been more sure of anything in my life." Patricia made notes on her tablet. "I'll put that in the file. But the process takes time and we're obligated to search for family first." Over the next month, Isaac watched the girls blossom. They started kindergarten at a local school, and their teacher called him weekly with updates. They were smart, eager to learn, and made friends quickly. Sophie loved art class. Bella devoured books. Isaac attended parent-teacher conferences, school concerts, and playdates. He braided hair and packed lunches and kissed scraped knees. His company board noticed the change in him, how he seemed engaged with life again. He'd lost count of how many times someone asked if he was their father and he had to explain the complicated truth. But in his heart, the answer was simple. Yes, he was their father in every way that mattered. He just had to hope that the law would agree. January brought cold winds and a new routine. Isaac had converted his home office into a bedroom for the twins, painting the walls a soft lavender at their request and buying twin beds with colorful comforters. The girls had been nervous about sleeping separately at first, so he pushed the beds together. Eventually they'd be ready for their own space, but for now they needed each other. Patricia Rodriguez became a regular presence in their lives, visiting every week to check on the girls' progress and update Isaac on her investigation. She'd submitted Angela Martinez's information to databases across the country, searching for any relatives who might want custody. "We found Angela's mother, the girl's grandmother," Patricia told Isaac during one visit. The girls were at school and they sat in his living room with coffee between them. Isaac's stomach dropped. "And?" "She's 72, lives in a nursing facility in Oregon, and has advanced dementia. She's not capable of caring for children." "What about Angela's father?" "Died 10 years ago. Angela was an only child. The girl's father is still unknown, no name on the birth certificate." Isaac felt guilty for the relief that flooded through him. "So there's no one?" "I'm still searching. I've put out notices to extended family, anyone who might be connected. These things take time." Patricia set down her coffee cup and looked at him seriously. "Mr. Bennett, I need to ask you something. Are you still committed to this? Because those girls are getting more attached to you every day. If you have any doubts, now is the time to speak up." "I have no doubts," Isaac said firmly. "None at all. Raising children is expensive, time-consuming. Your whole life will revolve around them." "It already does," Isaac said with a slight smile. "And I wouldn't have it any other way." Patricia nodded slowly. "You're doing well with them. Their teacher says they're thriving. The therapist I set them up with says they're processing their trauma in healthy ways. You should be proud." "They're doing the hard work," Isaac said. "I'm just providing the space for them to heal." That afternoon, Isaac picked up the girls from school. They ran to him with pictures they'd drawn, talking over each other about their day. In the car, Bella asked if they could get a dog. "A dog is a big responsibility," Isaac said. "We'd take care of it," Sophie insisted. "We'd walk it and feed it and everything." Isaac glanced at them in the rearview mirror. "Let's wait a bit, okay? We're still figuring out our family. Maybe in a few months." The word family slipped out naturally and he saw both girls smile. At home, Ruth had dinner prepared. She'd become invaluable, helping with the girls after school while Isaac worked. She taught them to cook simple meals and helped with homework. The girls adored her. "Mr. Bennett," Ruth said as she was leaving that evening, "I don't mean to overstep, but those girls need you to be their permanent parent. I've seen a lot of families in my years and you three belong together." "I'm working on it," Isaac said. "The system has its process." "Systems don't know everything," Ruth said with a knowing look. "Sometimes the heart knows better." That night, as Isaac read bedtime stories, Bella interrupted him. "Isaac, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Why did you help us that night? You didn't know us." Isaac closed the book and thought about how to answer. "I helped because it was the right thing to do. Because you needed help and I was there." "But you kept helping," Sophie pointed out. "You didn't have to keep helping." Isaac looked at both girls, their faces turned up to him in the lamplight. "I kept helping because somewhere along the way I realized I needed you as much as you needed me. This house was very lonely before you came. You filled it with laughter and noise and life. You made it a home. Do you love us?" Bella asked quietly. The question hung in the air. Isaac had been careful not to overwhelm them with emotions, letting them set the pace. But the truth was undeniable. "Yes," he said simply. "I love you both very much." Both girls smiled and Sophie whispered, "We love you too." Isaac tucked them in, his heart full. As he turned to leave, Bella called out, "Isaac? Can we call you Dad?" He froze, turning back. "Do you want to?" "Yes," both girls said together. "Then yes," Isaac said, his voice thick. "I would really like that." "Good night, Dad," Sophie said. "Good night, Dad," Bella echoed. "Good night, my girls," Isaac replied. He made it to his own room before the tears came. Happy tears, overwhelmed tears, terrified tears. What if the system didn't let him keep them? What if some distant relative appeared? What if he wasn't enough? The next week, Patricia arrived with news. She had a serious expression that made Isaac's pulse quicken. The girls were at school. "I found someone," Patricia said. "A cousin of Angela's. Her name is Carla Martinez. She lives in California, married, stable job, nice home." She saw the family notice and reached out. Isaac felt like the floor had dropped out from under him. "Does she want the girls?" "She says family should stay together. She wants to meet them." "When?" Isaac managed to ask. "Next week. I'm arranging for her to fly here." Isaac nodded numbly. This was it. The moment he'd been dreading. "Mr. Bennett," Patricia said gently, "this is part of the process. We have to explore all options. But it doesn't mean anything is decided yet." After Patricia left, Isaac sat alone in his living room, the house too quiet. When he picked up the girls from school, he tried to act normal, but Sophie noticed. "What's wrong, Dad?" she asked. Isaac took a breath. He'd promised himself he'd always be honest with them. "There's a lady who's related to you, your mama's cousin. She wants to meet you." Both girls stiffened. "Why?" Bella asked. "She's family and she wants to know you." "But we're already with our family," Sophie said, her voice rising. "We're with you." "I know, sweetheart. And that's not changing right now. She just wants to meet you. Can you be brave and meet her?" The girls exchanged worried looks but nodded. That night, Isaac barely slept. He'd known this could happen, but knowing didn't make it easier. These girls had become his daughters in every way that mattered. The thought of losing them was unbearable. He spent the next few days preparing the girls, explaining that they should be polite and that meeting their relative didn't mean anything bad. But at night, they clung to him during story time, asking again and again if they had to leave. "I'm going to do everything I can to keep you here," Isaac promised. "But I can't control everything. What I can promise is that I will always love you no matter what happens." The day before Carla's visit, Isaac took the girls to the park despite the cold. They needed to burn off nervous energy. As they played on the swings, Isaac watched them and made a decision. He wouldn't go down without a fight. If this cousin wanted the girls, she'd have to prove she could provide a better home than he could. He'd document everything: how well the girls were doing in school, their friendships, their therapy progress, how settled they were. He'd hire a lawyer if needed. He'd do whatever it took. Because these weren't just two children he was fostering. These were his daughters. And he wasn't giving up without a fight. That night, as he tucked the girls into bed, Bella looked up at him with tears in her eyes. "Dad, we don't want to go. Please don't let them take us." Isaac knelt beside the bed and took both their hands. "I promise you, I will do everything in my power to keep you here. This is your home. You are my daughters. And I'm going to fight for you with everything I have." "You promise?" Sophie whispered. "I promise," Isaac said. "Now get some sleep. Tomorrow we'll meet this lady together as a family. And whatever happens, we'll face it together." The girls finally fell asleep, but Isaac lay awake long into the night, preparing himself for the battle ahead. Do you believe in fighting for the family you choose, even when the system says otherwise? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for the next chapter of this emotional journey. Carla Martinez arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. Isaac had taken the day off work, and Patricia had picked Carla up from the airport. The girls were at school, giving the adults time to meet first. Carla was 36, with kind eyes and an open smile. She wore a green blouse and jeans, and she carried a photo album. Isaac invited them into the living room, his heart pounding. "Mr. Bennett," Carla said, extending her hand. "Thank you for taking care of my family. Please call me Isaac. And I've been happy to." They sat down and Carla opened the photo album. "I brought pictures so you'd understand the connection. This is Angela when she was young, before the drugs. And this is our grandmother, who both girls are named after. Isabella and Sophia were her middle names." Isaac looked at the photos. He saw echoes of Bella and Sophie in Angela's young face. "I'm sorry I didn't know about the girls sooner," Carla continued. "Angela and I lost touch years ago when her addiction got bad. When I saw the family notice, I had to respond. They're blood. They're also thriving here," Isaac said, keeping his voice level. "They've been through trauma and they're finally feeling secure." "I understand," Carla said. "But family takes care of family. I have a good home, a stable marriage. I can provide for them." Patricia intervened. "Mrs. Martinez, I appreciate you coming forward. But we need to think about what's best for Bella and Sophie. They've bonded with Mr. Bennett. Removing them could cause psychological harm." "I'm not trying to harm them," Carla said. "I'm trying to give them a family." "They have a family," Isaac said, his composure slipping slightly. "Me." The conversation continued for an hour, tense but civil. Finally, Patricia suggested Carla meet the girls before any decisions were made. When Isaac picked up Bella and Sophie from school, he explained that their visitor was waiting. The girls held his hands tightly as they walked into the house. Carla stood when they entered, her eyes filling with tears. "Oh my goodness, you look just like Angela did at your age." The girls pressed against Isaac's legs, silent. "Hi, sweethearts," Carla said gently. "My name is Carla. Your mama and I are cousins, which makes me your cousin too, I guess. Kind of like an aunt." "We don't know you," Bella said quietly. "I know, honey. But I'd like to get to know you." Patricia suggested the girls show Carla their room. Reluctantly, with Isaac right behind them, the twins led Carla upstairs. She admired their artwork on the walls, the books on their shelves, the stuffed animals on their beds. "You have a lovely room," Carla said. "Do you like living here?" "We love it here," Sophie said firmly. "This is our home." Carla smiled, but Isaac saw sadness in her eyes. She was starting to understand. They spent an hour together, Carla asking gentle questions, the girls giving short answers. When it was time for her to leave, Carla asked if she could take the girls to lunch tomorrow, just the three of them. Isaac wanted to say no. He wanted to protect his daughters from anything that might take them away. But Patricia gave him a look that said cooperation was important. "If the girls are okay with it," he said. Both girls looked unhappy but nodded. That night, they clung to Isaac during bedtime. "We don't want to go to lunch with her," Bella said. "I know, sweetheart. But sometimes we have to do things that are uncomfortable. She came a long way to meet you. But you'll be here when we get back, right?" Sophie asked. "I'm not going anywhere," Isaac promised. The next day, Carla picked up the girls while Isaac stayed home, pacing his living room like a caged animal. He tried to work but couldn't focus. All he could think about was his daughters with this stranger, this woman who had every legal right to claim them. They returned 3 hours later. The girls ran to him immediately and Carla followed them inside at Patricia's request. "How was lunch?" Isaac asked, hugging the twins. "It was okay," Bella said diplomatically. "She bought us burgers." Carla and Patricia sat down with Isaac while the girls went upstairs. "They're wonderful children," Carla said. "Smart and sweet." "Yes, they are," Isaac agreed. "Mr. Bennett, can I be honest with you?" Isaac nodded, bracing himself. "I came here thinking I was doing the right thing. Family taking care of family. But watching those girls with you, seeing how they look at you, hearing them call you Dad." She paused, her eyes glistening. "That's their father. You're their father." Isaac's throat tightened. "Mrs. Martinez. Please let me finish. I have a good life. My husband and I always wanted children, but we can't have them. When I heard about Bella and Sophie, I thought maybe this was meant to be. But taking them from you wouldn't be saving them. It would be hurting them." Patricia leaned forward. "Are you saying you don't want to pursue custody?" "I'm saying I think they're exactly where they need to be." Carla looked at Isaac. "But I'd like to stay in their lives if that's okay. As their aunt, maybe. Send cards on birthdays, visit sometimes. I want them to know their family history, know where they come from." Relief flooded through Isaac so powerfully he had to blink back tears. "I think that would be wonderful. Every child should know where they come from." "Then I'll tell the court I support your adoption petition," Carla said. "Those girls are lucky to have you." After they left, Isaac went upstairs and found the twins sitting on their beds, worried. "Dad," Bella asked, "do we have to go with her?" Isaac sat between them, pulling them close. "No, sweethearts. You're staying right here. Carla agrees that this is your home." "Really?" Sophie's face lit up. "Really? She wants to be your aunt, someone you visit sometimes and who sends you birthday cards. Is that okay?" Both girls nodded, then threw their arms around him. "We're really staying?" Bella asked. "You're really staying," Isaac confirmed. "Forever if you'll have me." "Forever," both girls agreed. That evening, Patricia called to officially inform him that Carla had withdrawn any claim to the girls and was supporting his adoption petition. The path was clear. "I'm starting the adoption paperwork," Patricia said. "It'll take a few months, but barring any complications, those girls are going to be legally yours." After he hung up, Isaac sat in his living room and let himself cry. Happy tears, grateful tears, tears of relief so profound it shook his whole body. He'd been so scared of losing them. Now they were going to be his forever. He went upstairs and watched them sleep, their hands clasped together as always. His daughters. Not through biology but through choice and love and determination. "Thank you," he whispered into the quiet room. He didn't know who he was thanking. Fate, God, the universe, Angela for leaving them where someone would find them, Carla for understanding. Maybe all of it. All Isaac knew was that he'd been given the greatest gift of his life. And he was never going to take it for granted. The weeks following Carla's visit brought a new sense of peace to the household. Isaac had officially begun the adoption process, working with a family attorney named Jordan Hayes who specialized in these cases. The paperwork was extensive, but Isaac filled out every form with care, documenting every moment of the girls' time with him. February arrived with more snow, and the twins celebrated their first real birthday with Isaac. Patricia had helped him determine from medical records that they'd been born on February 14th, Valentine's Day. Isaac thought it was fitting. He threw them a party at a local pizza place, inviting their classmates from kindergarten. Ruth helped him decorate with red and pink balloons. The girls wore matching blue party dresses that they'd picked out themselves. When everyone sang, "Happy Birthday," Bella and Sophie glowed with happiness. "Did you make a wish?" Isaac asked as they blew out their candles together. "We wish to stay with you forever," Sophie said. "That's already coming true," Isaac told them, pulling them into a hug. But not everything was easy. The trauma the girls had experienced didn't disappear overnight. Bella still had nightmares several times a week, waking up screaming that someone was taking them away. Sophie struggled with anxiety, particularly around food, still hoarding snacks in her dresser drawer despite Isaac's repeated assurances that they'd never go hungry again. Their therapist, Dr. Karen White, helped Isaac understand. "They're healing, but healing isn't linear. There will be setbacks. Your consistency is what matters most." Isaac attended every therapy session, learning techniques to help the girls feel safe. He established routines so they knew what to expect. Breakfast at 7, school at 8, pickup at 3, dinner at 6, bedtime at 8. The predictability helped. Ruth became more than a nanny. She became family, teaching the girls to bake cookies and helping them make cards for Isaac on Father's Day, even though it was months away. "Every day can be Father's Day," Ruth said with a wink. "These girls know who their daddy is." In March, Isaac had to go on a business trip to San Francisco. Just 2 days, but it was the first time he'd be away from the girls overnight since they'd come into his life. "I don't want you to go," Bella said, tears streaming down her face. "I'll be back in 2 days," Isaac promised. "Ruth will be here with you the whole time, and we can video call every night." "But what if you don't come back?" Sophie asked, voicing the fear both girls shared. Isaac knelt down to their level. "I will always come back to you. I promise. Nothing could keep me away." He left detailed instructions with Ruth and called the girls 3 times a day. When he returned, they attached themselves to him like barnacles, not letting him out of their sight for hours. "They were scared," Ruth reported. "But they did well. They talked about how you promised to come back and they believed you." "I'll never break a promise to them," Isaac said. April brought spring and progress. The girls' teacher called to say they were both reading above grade level. Sophie's artwork was selected for a school show. Bella joined a soccer team and scored her first goal, with Isaac cheering from the sidelines. Patricia's home visits became less frequent as the adoption process moved forward. "Everything looks excellent," she said during her April visit. "The final hearing is scheduled for June." June seemed far away, but it was coming. One Saturday in May, Isaac took the girls to an animal shelter, finally ready to consider getting that dog they'd asked about. They fell in love with a gentle golden retriever named Sunny, who seemed to sense the girls needed extra patience. "Can we really have him?" Bella asked, her eyes wide. "If you promise to help take care of him," Isaac said. "We promise," both girls said together. Sunny came home that day and the house became even more full of life. The dog slept in the girls' room, a warm presence that helped them feel safe at night. Bella's nightmares decreased. Isaac's company had noticed the change in him. He was still successful, still driven, but now he had balance. He left work at 5 every day to be home for dinner. He took weekends seriously, planning activities with the girls. His board members commented that he seemed happier, more present. "I am," Isaac told his business partner. "I have everything I need." One evening in late May, as Isaac tucked the girls into bed, Bella asked a question that caught him off guard. "Dad, do you think our birth mama loved us?" Isaac chose his words carefully. "I think she did the best she could. Sometimes people have problems that make it hard for them to be the parents they want to be." "But she left us," Sophie pointed out. "She did. And that was hard and scary. But she left you where someone would find you. Maybe that was her way of trying to help." "Do you think she ever thinks about us?" Bella asked. "I think she probably does," Isaac said honestly. "But what matters now is that you're safe and loved. You have a family who will never leave you." "Because of you," Sophie said. "Because of all of us," Isaac corrected. "We're a team." As June approached, Isaac felt nervous excitement building. The adoption hearing was scheduled for June 15th. Jordan Hayes had prepared him for every possibility, but Isaac couldn't shake the fear that something would go wrong at the last minute. The night before the hearing, Isaac couldn't sleep. He went to check on the girls and found them awake too, sitting up in their beds with Sunny between them. "Can't sleep?" he asked. "We're too excited," Bella said. "Tomorrow we become really yours," Sophie added. "Like officially." "You've been really mine for a long time," Isaac said, sitting on the edge of Sophie's bed. "The papers are just making it official for the law." "Dad," Bella said quietly. What if the judge says no? Isaac had been trying not to think about that possibility. Then we'll figure it out together. But I don't think that's going to happen. Jordan says we have a very strong case. We'll be Bella and Sophie Bennett, Sophie said, trying out the name. If you want to be, Isaac said. We can keep Martinez if you want to honor your birth family. The girls looked at each other, having one of their silent conversations. Then Bella said, we want to be Bennetts. That's our family now. Isaac hugged them both, breathing in the scent of their strawberry shampoo. All right then. Tomorrow we become the Bennett family officially. The three of us, Sophie said. The three of us, Isaac confirmed. And Sonny. The dog's tail thumped against the bed. They finally fell asleep around midnight, all three of them curled up in the girls' room with the dog. When Isaac woke with a stiff neck at dawn, he carefully extracted himself and went to get ready. Today was the day that would change their lives forever. Today the family he'd chosen would become official in the eyes of the law. Today his daughters would truly become his daughters. He could hardly wait. The morning of June 15th dawned clear and bright. Isaac dressed in his best suit, navy blue with a red tie that Sophie had helped him pick out. The girls wore matching dresses in a cheerful green color, with white shoes that clicked on the hardwood floors. Ruth arrived early to see them off, tears already in her eyes. My beautiful family, she said, hugging each of them. I'll be praying for you. Jordan Hayes met them at the courthouse, a professional woman in her 50s who'd guided them through every step. Everyone ready? She asked with an encouraging smile. The girls nodded, holding Isaac's hands tightly. The courtroom was smaller than Isaac had expected, less intimidating. Judge Sarah Morrison presided, a grandmother-looking woman with reading glasses and a warm demeanor. Patricia Rodriguez was there along with Dr. White, their therapist. Carla Martinez had flown in to testify in support of the adoption. The hearing lasted 2 hours. Patricia testified about how she'd found the girls and how Isaac had stepped up immediately. Dr. White spoke about the girls' remarkable progress and the strong, healthy attachment they'd formed with Isaac. Carla told the judge about meeting the girls and recognizing that they belonged with Isaac. Then it was Isaac's turn. Jordan had prepared him, but standing before the judge with his daughters watching, Isaac spoke from his heart. Your Honor, I didn't plan to become a father this way. I found these girls by chance or maybe by fate. But from the moment I saw them, cold and scared on Christmas Eve, I knew my life had changed. These past 6 months have been the best of my life. Bella and Sophie have taught me what it means to be a family. They've healed parts of me I didn't know were broken. I promise to love them, protect them, and support them for the rest of my life. Judge Morrison asked to speak with the girls. They approached the bench holding hands, looking small but brave. Bella and Sophie, the judge said kindly, do you understand what adoption means? It means we get to stay with our dad forever, Bella said. And do you want that? Yes, ma'am, both girls said together. Why do you want Mr. Bennett to be your father? Sophie answered first. Because he saved us. And he takes care of us. And he makes us feel safe. Bella added, and he loves us even when we have bad dreams or get scared. He never gets mad. He just helps us feel better. The judge smiled and made notes. Then she set down her pen and looked at everyone gathered. I've reviewed the case file thoroughly. I've read the reports from Child Protective Services, the therapist, the school, and character references from friends and colleagues. The evidence is clear that these children are thriving in Mr. Bennett's care. Furthermore, there are no other parties contesting this adoption. Isaac held his breath. Therefore, it is my pleasure to grant this adoption petition. Bella and Sophie Martinez, as of this moment, you are legally Bella Bennett and Sophie Bennett, daughters of Isaac Bennett. The courtroom erupted in applause. The girls ran to Isaac, who swept them up in his arms, tears streaming down his face. They were his. Really truly his. Jordan was smiling, Patricia was crying, Carla was clapping. Even the court reporter looked emotional. Judge Morrison had them approach the bench for the official paperwork. Isaac signed document after document, each signature making it more real. Then the judge did something unexpected. She came down from the bench and hugged all three of them. Congratulations on your family, she said warmly. Outside the courthouse they took pictures on the steps. Ruth had arrived and was crying happy tears. Carla hugged the girls and promised to visit soon. Thank you, Isaac told her. For understanding. For supporting us. They're exactly where they belong, Carla said. I just hope you'll let me be part of their lives. Always, Isaac promised. They celebrated with lunch at the girls' favorite restaurant, then ice cream, then a trip to the park. That evening Isaac ordered a cake that said, "The Bennett Family," and they ate it for dinner because rules didn't matter on a day this special. As the girls got ready for bed, still wearing their court dresses because they didn't want to take them off, they chattered excitedly about being official. "We're really sisters now," Sophie said to Bella. "We were always really sisters," Bella pointed out. "Now we just have the same last name." Isaac tucked them in, reading an extra-long story, taking in every moment of this perfect day. "Dad," Bella said as he was turning off the light. "Yes, sweetheart? Thank you for keeping us." Isaac's throat tightened. "Thank you for letting me. I love you both so much." "We love you too, Dad," they chorused. Isaac went to his room and called his parents, who'd moved to Arizona years ago. They'd been supportive but distant through this process, unsure about his decision to adopt. Now, hearing the joy in his voice, his mother started crying. "I'm so happy for you, son," she said. "When can we meet our granddaughters?" "Soon," Isaac promised. "Very soon." He lay in bed that night, unable to stop smiling. His daughters. His family. Forever. The next morning, life returned to its normal rhythm. Isaac took the girls to school, went to work, picked them up in the afternoon. But everything felt different, lighter, more permanent. A week after the adoption, Patricia came by for what she said would be her last official visit. "I have some news," she said, and something in her tone made Isaac's stomach drop. They sat in the living room while the girls played upstairs. Patricia looked uncomfortable. "What is it?" Isaac asked. "I received a call yesterday. From a woman named Carla Martinez." "We already know Carla," Isaac said, confused. "Not that Carla Martinez. A different one. Apparently Angela had a sister that we didn't know about. She was estranged from the family, living in Texas. She just found out about the girls." Isaac felt cold. "What does she want?" "She's asking about custody. She says she has a right to raise her nieces." "The adoption is finalized," Isaac said, his voice hard. "She can't do anything about that." "Legally, no. But she's threatening to make noise. File complaints. She could make things difficult." Isaac stood up, pacing. "I'm not giving up my daughters. Not now. Not ever." "I'm not suggesting you do," Patricia said quickly. "But I wanted you to be prepared. She might reach out. She might cause problems." "Let her try," Isaac said. "I have legal custody. She has no rights here." Patricia nodded. "You're absolutely right. I just wanted you to know." After she left, Isaac felt shaken. Just when everything seemed perfect, a new threat emerged. But as he heard the girls' laughter floating down from upstairs, he steeled himself. He'd fought for them once. He'd fight for them again. Nothing and no one was taking his daughters away. The woman who called herself Sandra Martinez contacted Isaac's lawyer the very next day. Jordan Hayes called Isaac immediately. "She's demanding a meeting," Jordan said. "Claims she has family rights." "She has no rights," Isaac said firmly. "The adoption is final. Legally you're correct. But she could file nuisance claims, try to get media involved, make allegations. It would be messy." Isaac closed his eyes, fighting frustration. "What do you recommend?" "Meet with her. Hear her out. Show good faith. Then if she escalates, we have documentation that you tried to be reasonable." Isaac didn't want to be reasonable. He wanted to protect his daughters from any more upheaval. But he also knew Jordan was right. "Fine. Set it up. But not at my house. I don't want the girls exposed to this." The meeting was scheduled for the following Tuesday at Jordan's office. Isaac didn't tell Bella and Sophie about it, not wanting to worry them. Ruth stayed with them while Isaac went to face this new challenge. Sandra Martinez was 42, thin and nervous-looking, wearing a faded maroon blouse. She sat across from Isaac in the conference room with her own lawyer, a younger man who looked fresh out of law school. "Mr. Bennett," Sandra began, "I'm not here to cause trouble. I just want to meet my nieces." "They're not your nieces anymore," Isaac said, keeping his voice level. "They're my daughters. By blood." "Blood doesn't make a family," Isaac interrupted. "Where were you 6 months ago? Where were you when they were sleeping on the streets? Where were you their whole lives?" Sandra flinched. "I didn't know about them. Angela and I lost touch years ago after a fight. I only just heard about all of this." "That's unfortunate," Jordan said professionally, "but it doesn't change the legal reality. Mr. Bennett has full custody. The adoption is finalized. You have no standing to challenge that." "I'm not trying to take them," Sandra insisted, her voice rising. "I just want to know them. They're my family." Isaac studied her. She seemed genuine, but he'd learned to be cautious. "Why should I trust you with access to my children?" Because they deserve to know their family history. Their biological connection. I can tell them about their grandmother, about Angela when she was young. I can give them a sense of where they came from. They know where they came from, Isaac said. They came from a very hard place and now they're healing. I won't let anyone disrupt that. Sandra's lawyer leaned forward. Mr. Bennett, my client is prepared to file for visitation rights. We can make this difficult, or we can come to a reasonable arrangement. Jordan's expression hardened. I'd advise against that. You have no legal grounds and a judge will not look kindly on you trying to harass a recently finalized adoption. The meeting went in circles for an hour. Finally, Isaac stood. I'll think about it, he said. But if you try to contact my daughters directly, if you show up at their school or our home, I'll get a restraining order. Are we clear? Sandra nodded, looking defeated. Over the next week, Isaac struggled with the decision. Part of him wanted to tell Sandra to disappear and never contact them again. But another part recognized that she might be genuine, that the girls might actually benefit from knowing more about their biological family. He talked to Dr. White, their therapist. How would the girls handle meeting another relative? He asked during a phone consultation. It depends on how you present it and how stable they're feeling, Dr. White said. They're doing well right now. If you decide to allow contact, make it very controlled. Short visits with you present. Let them set the pace. Isaac also talked to Carla, who'd become a trusted advisor on all things related to the girl's biological family. I know Sandra, Carla said when Isaac called her. She's not a bad person. She had addiction problems in her 20s but got clean. Last I heard, she was working as a receptionist in Dallas. She's not trying to hurt anyone. She just feels guilty for not being there. Guilt isn't a reason to disrupt my daughter's lives, Isaac said. No, it's not. But connection might be a gift if it's done right. Isaac made his decision. He'd allow Sandra to meet the girls, but strictly on his terms. One meeting with him present in a neutral location. After that, he'd evaluate. He sat down with Bella and Sophie after dinner on a Friday evening. They were coloring at the kitchen table, Sunny sleeping at their feet. Girls, I need to talk to you about something, Isaac began. Both looked up, immediately alert to his serious tone. There's a woman named Sandra who says she's your mama's sister. Your aunt. She wants to meet you. The girls exchanged their usual silent look. Then Bella asked, do we have to? No, Isaac said firmly. You never have to do anything that makes you uncomfortable. But I thought you might want to know about it. Is she nice? Sophie asked. I think so. But you'd have to meet her to know for sure. Would you be there? Bella asked. The whole time. I wouldn't leave you alone with her. The girls talked quietly to each other in their twin language, something they did when processing difficult information. Finally Sophie said, okay, we'll meet her. But if we don't like it, we can leave. The second you want to leave, we leave, Isaac promised. The meeting was arranged for the following Saturday at a park. Sandra brought her husband, a quiet man named Robert who stayed in the background. Isaac brought the girls, and they clung to his hands as Sandra approached. Hi, Sandra said softly, kneeling to their level. I'm your Aunt Sandra. You look so much like your mama when she was little. We don't remember her much, Bella said. That's okay. I brought some pictures if you want to see. The girls looked at Isaac, who nodded. They sat on a park bench while Sandra showed them photos of Angela as a child, of their grandmother who died before they were born, of family gatherings from years ago. This is you, Sophie said, pointing to a young girl in one photo. That's me, Sandra confirmed. And that's your mama. We were about your age in this picture. The girls studied the photos with interest, asking questions. Sandra answered patiently, never trying to push too much. After an hour, Isaac suggested getting ice cream. At the ice cream shop, Bella surprised everyone by asking Sandra, why didn't you help our mama? Sandra's eyes filled with tears. I tried, honey. But sometimes people have to want to help themselves and your mama wasn't ready. I'm so sorry I couldn't do more. It's okay, Bella said simply. We have our dad now. Sandra smiled through her tears. You have a very good dad. The visit ended cordially. As they walked to the car, Sophie tugged on Isaac's sleeve. Can we see Aunt Sandra again sometime? If you want to, yes, Isaac said. She was nice, Bella added. And it was cool to see pictures of Mama when she was happy. Over the following months, Sandra became an occasional but positive presence in their lives. She sent cards on holidays and the girl's birthday. She visited every few months, always coordinated through Isaac, always respectful of boundaries. Isaac realized that his fears had been partly about control, about protecting what was his. But the girls didn't belong to him like possessions. They were people with their own history, their own needs. Knowing where they came from didn't diminish their present. If anything, it helped them understand themselves better. One evening in August, as Isaac tucked the girls in, Bella said something that made his heart swell. "Dad, thank you for letting us know Aunt Sandra." "You're welcome, sweetheart." "Why?" "Because it's nice to know about our mama. But it also makes us appreciate you more. Because you chose us. You didn't have to, but you did." "I chose you because you're the best thing that ever happened to me," Isaac said. "We chose you too," Sophie added. "Even though we were scared at first, we knew you were good." Isaac kissed their foreheads and turned out the light, his heart full. This family they'd built together, piece by piece, was strong enough to include others. Strong enough to honor the past while embracing the future. Strong enough for anything. September brought cooler weather and the start of first grade for Bella and Sophie. They'd grown so much over the past 9 months, both physically and emotionally. Isaac could hardly believe these confident, laughing children were the same scared girls he'd found behind a dumpster. Their first grade teacher, Ms. Johnson, called Isaac for a parent conference in the second week of school. She was a warm woman in her 50s with decades of experience. "Mr. Bennett," she said, "I wanted to talk to you about the girls." Isaac felt a familiar worry. Is something wrong? Quite the opposite. They're exceptional students. Reading at a third grade level, excelling in math, creative and kind with their classmates. I just wanted to know their story because their file mentions they were adopted earlier this year. Isaac gave her the appropriate version, leaving out the most painful details. "They're lucky to have you," Ms. Johnson said. "And you're clearly doing something right. Keep it up." That afternoon, Isaac picked up the girls from school and they chattered about their day. Sophie had made a new friend named Rachel. Bella had scored the winning goal in soccer during recess. Their lives were full and happy. At home, Ruth had cookies waiting and helped the girls with homework while Isaac caught up on work emails. This was their rhythm now, comfortable and predictable. In October, Isaac's parents finally visited from Arizona. They'd been hesitant about the adoption, worried Isaac was rushing into something, but meeting Bella and Sophie changed everything. "They're wonderful," Isaac's mother said, watching the girls play with Sonny in the backyard. "I was wrong to doubt you. You were worried." "That's normal," Isaac said. "No, I should have trusted you. You've built something beautiful here." His parents stayed for a week, and the girls soaked up the attention from their grandparents. Isaac's father taught them to play checkers. His mother taught them to knit simple patterns. By the time they left, the girls had added "grandma" and "grandpa" to their vocabulary. November came with Thanksgiving plans. Isaac invited Ruth, who'd become family, and Sandra and her husband. Carla couldn't make it but sent a care package with presents for the girls. The day was chaotic and perfect. Isaac attempted to cook a turkey with help from Ruth while the girls made decorations. Sandra brought sweet potatoes and pie. They sat around the table, this assembled family held together by choice and love, and Isaac felt grateful beyond measure. "What are you thankful for?" he asked as they went around the table. "I'm thankful for my family," Bella said, looking at Isaac. "Me too," Sophie echoed. "And for Sonny. And for cookies." Everyone laughed. When it was Isaac's turn, he looked at his daughters and said, "I'm thankful for Christmas Eve last year, when my life changed forever. I'm thankful for second chances and for love that heals." Ruth was crying into her napkin. Sandra smiled. The girls beamed. December arrived and with it the anniversary of finding the girls. Isaac hadn't told them the exact date, but on December 24th as they decorated Christmas cookies, Sophie said, "Dad, is today the day you found us?" Isaac looked up, surprised. "How did you know?" "We remember it was Christmas Eve," Bella said. "We remember being scared and cold. And then you came." "We should celebrate," Sophie suggested. "Like a family birthday." "I like that idea," Isaac said. "What should we call it?" "Family Day," both girls said together. So they started a new tradition. Every December 24th would be Family Day, a celebration of the moment they became a family. They'd make special cookies, watch their favorite movie, and tell the story of how they found each other. That night, as Isaac tucked them into bed, he reflected on everything that had happened in a year. The fear, the challenges, the bureaucracy, the unexpected appearances of relatives. But also the joy, the laughter, the milestones, the love. "Dad?" Bella asked, interrupting his thoughts. "Yes, sweetheart? Do you ever wish your life was different? Like quieter or easier?" Isaac smiled. "Never. Not for a single second. You two are the best thing that ever happened to me." Even though we wake you up with nightmares sometimes? Sophie asked. Even then. Every moment with you, the easy and the hard, is a gift. The girls smiled and snuggled into their blankets. We love you, Dad, they said in unison. I love you both more than all the stars in the sky, Isaac replied. In the new year, life continued its steady rhythm. The girls thrived in school. Isaac's business grew. They adopted a kitten named Sunshine to keep Sunny company. They took a family vacation to the beach, the girls' first time seeing the ocean. One evening in March, 2 years after finding the girls, Isaac was going through old files and came across the newspaper from Christmas Eve of that year. He'd saved it without really knowing why. On impulse, he called Patricia Rodriguez, who'd stayed in touch occasionally. Patricia, do you remember if there were any other cases like the girls? Other children abandoned that year? I'd have to check, but I don't recall any. Why? I was just thinking. If I hadn't taken that shortcut behind the grocery store that night, if I'd walked a different way? But you didn't, Patricia said gently. You were exactly where you needed to be, exactly when those girls needed you. That's what matters. Do you believe in fate? Isaac asked. I believe in people who choose to do the right thing, Patricia said. The rest is just details. After hanging up, Isaac put the newspaper away and went upstairs. The girls were reading in their room, each in their own bed now, Sunny and Sunshine sleeping between them. Bedtime in 10 minutes, Isaac announced. Can we have extra time? Bella asked. We're at a really good part. Isaac pretended to think about it. 15 minutes. But then lights out. Deal? Both girls agreed. Isaac went to his room and changed into comfortable clothes. He thought about Patricia's words. He'd chosen to help those girls, but they'd chosen him too. They trusted him when they had no reason to trust anyone. They'd opened their hearts to love when love had only hurt them before. Maybe that was the real miracle. Not that he'd found them, but that they'd let themselves be found. At bedtime, Isaac read them a chapter from their current favorite book. When he finished, Sophie asked, Dad, when we grow up, will you still be our dad? Always, Isaac promised. Even when you're grown with families of your own, I'll still be your dad. Good, Bella said. Because we're never giving you back. Isaac laughed and kissed them both goodnight. As he turned off the light, he paused in the doorway, taking in the scene. His daughters, safe and loved in their home, surrounded by the family they'd built together. This was everything he'd never known he wanted. This was home. 3 years after Christmas Eve, the Bennett family had settled into the kind of comfortable rhythm that comes from knowing you belong to each other. Bella and Sophie were 8 years old now, thriving in 3rd grade, each developing her own distinct personality while still sharing that special twin bond. It was a Saturday morning in April when Carla called with unexpected news. Isaac, I wanted to tell you before I told the girls. Robert and I are expecting a baby. We're adopting. Isaac felt genuine happiness for her. That's wonderful, Carla. Congratulations. I wanted to thank you, she said. Meeting Bella and Sophie, seeing what you built with them, it inspired us. We realized we could build our family this way too. They're going to be so excited to have a cousin, Isaac said. When he told the girls, they immediately wanted to make cards for Carla and the new baby. They spent the afternoon creating elaborate artwork with every colored pencil they owned. Do you think the baby will like us? Sophie asked as she drew. The baby will love you, Isaac assured her. Just like everyone loves you. That evening, as they sat down to dinner, Isaac noticed how much the girls had grown. Bella had gotten taller, her face losing its baby roundness. Sophie had developed a gap-toothed grin from losing her 2 front teeth. Dad, can we ask you something? Bella said during dessert. Of course. The girls looked at each other, that silent communication passing between them. Then Sophie said, Can we change our middle names? Isaac was surprised. You want different middle names? We want to be Isabella Hope Bennett and Sophia Grace Bennett, Bella explained. Hope and Grace. Because you gave us hope and you showed us grace. Isaac's eyes filled with tears. Those are beautiful names. If that's what you want, we can make it happen. The legal name change was simple compared to the adoption process. By summer, their new birth certificates arrived. Isabella Hope Bennett and Sophia Grace Bennett. In August, Ruth announced she was retiring and moving to Florida to be near her grandchildren. The news hit all of them hard. You've been with us almost from the beginning, Isaac said, hugging her. And you'll always be my family, Ruth said. But it's time for me to be with my blood family too. You don't need me anymore. You 3 are doing just fine. The girls cried at her going away party, but Ruth promised to visit and video call every week. You taught me how to be a dad, Isaac told her privately. I couldn't have done this without you. You would have figured it out, Ruth said. You had the most important thing already, love. September brought fourth grade and new challenges. Bella tried out for the school play and got the lead role. Sophie joined the art club and had her work displayed at a local gallery. They were becoming their own people, confident and creative. One October evening, Isaac got a call from Sandra. She was crying. What's wrong? Isaac asked, worried. Nothing's wrong. Everything's right, Sandra said through her tears. I'm getting married. And I wanted to ask if Bella and Sophie would be flower girls. That's wonderful news, Isaac said. Let me ask them. The girls were thrilled at the idea of being in a wedding. They picked out matching purple dresses and practiced walking in fancy shoes. At the November ceremony, they beamed as they walked down the aisle, scattering flower petals. Sandra hugged them afterward. Thank you for being here. It means everything. You're our aunt, Sophie said simply. Of course we're here. Christmas Eve marked 3 years since Isaac had found the girls. Their family day tradition had grown. Now they invited everyone who'd been part of their journey. Patricia, Jordan, Dr. White, Carla and her family, Sandra and her new husband. This is the family you built, Isaac's mother said, looking around at the crowded living room. I'm so proud of you. That night, after everyone left and the girls were in bed, Isaac stood in the quiet house and thought about everything they'd been through. The fear and uncertainty, the legal battles, the moments of doubt. But also the overwhelming joy, the daily miracles of watching his daughters grow and heal. He went upstairs to check on them one more time. They were asleep in their separate beds now, but their hands were stretched out toward each other across the space between, fingers almost touching. Sweet dreams, my girls, Isaac whispered. My Isabella Hope and my Sophia Grace. In the morning, the girls woke him up by jumping on his bed, giggling. It was Sunday, their day for pancakes and lazy mornings. Dad, we've been thinking, Bella said as they ate breakfast. About what? Isaac asked. About how we met you, Sophie said. Do you think it was magic? Isaac considered the question. I think it was something better than magic. I think it was meant to be. Like we were supposed to find each other? Bella asked. Exactly like that. That's what we think too, Sophie said. Because you're the perfect dad for us. And you're the perfect daughters for me, Isaac said. Later that morning they went to the park with Sunny and Sunshine. Other families were there, and Isaac watched his daughters play with other children, confident and happy. No one looking at them would know the trauma they'd survived, the hardship they'd overcome. But Isaac knew. He carried the knowledge of where they'd been, which made him appreciate where they were even more. That afternoon, Carla came by with her new baby, a 6-month-old girl they'd named Maya. Bella and Sophie were enchanted, holding her gently and making silly faces to make her laugh. You're going to be amazing big sisters someday if you want to be, Carla said. The girls looked at Isaac. Can we, Dad? Have a brother or sister? Isaac laughed. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're pretty perfect as we are, don't you think? We are, Bella agreed. But maybe someday? Maybe someday, Isaac conceded. As the year drew to a close, Isaac reflected on how much his life had changed. 4 years ago he'd been alone, successful but hollow, going through the motions of living without really feeling alive. Now his house was full of noise and laughter. His refrigerator was covered with artwork and school notices. His calendar was packed with parent-teacher conferences, soccer games, and playdates. His heart was full. On New Year's Eve, as they watched fireworks from their backyard, bundled in warm coats with hot chocolate in their hands, Sophie leaned against Isaac. Dad, what's your New Year's wish? Isaac looked down at his daughter, then over at Bella, who was watching the sky with wide eyes. I have everything I want, he said honestly. My only wish is that we stay healthy and happy together. That's our wish too, Bella said. As midnight approached and the neighbors set off more fireworks, Isaac pulled both girls close. I love you both more than words can say, he told them. We know, Sophie said. We love you too, Dad. Forever and always, Bella added. Forever and always, Isaac agreed. The fireworks burst overhead in brilliant colors, lighting up the night sky. Isaac watched them reflect in his daughter's eyes and thought about the journey that had brought them here. A chance encounter on a cold Christmas Eve. A decision to help when he could have walked away. A commitment to love when it would have been easier to hand them off to someone else. All those choices had led to this moment, this life, this family. And Isaac wouldn't change a single thing. As the clock struck midnight and a new year began, the Bennett family stood together in their backyard, 3 hearts beating as one. They'd all been lost once in different ways. But they'd found each other. and in finding each other they'd found home. Not a place made of walls and roof, but a feeling made of love and trust and commitment. A forever home built not on biology but on choice. The best kind of home there is.